Hey mamas, it's your girl Kerri, and welcome back to Mom Life, Career Life. Today's topic is something that we don't always talk about, but it can be absolutely life-changing if you lean into it. We're talking about self-awareness. And here's the thing. It's easy to really notice how life affects us. The toddler tantrum, the snippy coworker email, the traffic jam that makes you late for work, all of those things, we feel them immediately. But the real growth comes when we flip the lens and we start asking, how am I affecting everyone around me? That, my friend, is self awareness. And it's the foundation for personal growth, better relationships, to have more empathy, and honestly, a lot more peace. And as we get closer to the end of the year and start thinking about how we want to show up next year, and this is something I'm going to be really focusing on this podcast in the next couple of weeks, but I really want you to take this episode to heart and put this on your goals for the new year. And as we're talking about how we want to show up, the truth is we can't grow self-awareness if we're not present in the moment with our own feelings, with our tone and our energy. And that's why I created the Tech Timeout Guide for moms. It will help you set those boundaries with your tech. You're going to win back small pockets of time, and you could use that to really notice how you're showing up in life. So grab your copy in the show notes and let's dive into today's episode. Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle all the many hats you wear as a working mom? Do you want more quality time with your family without distraction of work and time alone to take care of yourself and your needs? Welcome to Mom Wife Career Life. I'm Kerri, a wife, mom of 3, and a recovering perfectionist. In this podcast, I will teach you how to create balance in your life by implementing healthy habits, organizing your home and your schedule, being intentional with your time and in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start putting your needs first, because no one can pour from an empty cup. Grab that second cup of coffee, or if you're anything like me, your third. It's time to dive into today's episode of Mom Wife Career Life. I'll never forget sitting in my parents' kitchen with my mom and my sister. Kaylee was a baby, Ashley was a toddler, and I was tired. I was getting migraines constantly, probably like 15 or more a month. Some I could power through, but others completely landed me in bed with my blackout curtains pulled shut and an ice pack on my head. And you wouldn't see me until the next day, if not 2 days later. And on top of that, I was totally not loving my job in the moment. I was in a very male-dominated environment, and no matter how hard I worked, the promotions always went to the guys. And when I finally did land one of the roles I was going for, the title got downgraded from manager to assistant manager. That was corporate America for you. But for the record, I still went in, I rocked that job, and I did something that my predecessor wasn't able to do. So major kudos to me. But between the headaches and all the work stuff, I vented a lot. And on that particular day, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember the response. You're so negative. Do you even realize how much you complain? That hurt. My first reaction was completely defensive. I'm like, they're my family. Of course, they're going to be the ones that I complain to. But in my head, I was like, I don't always complain, right? And I was almost insulted and kind of a little stunned, but it was such a wake-up call. That comment made me replay how I had been showing up around my family, with my friends, and even at work. Was I leading with negativity? Was I letting my migraines or my frustration take the mic every time I opened my mouth? I didn't want to be the person that people brace themselves around, waiting for the next complaint. And even though I felt awful half the month, I didn't want that to define me. So I decided to change slowly, on purpose, one moment at a time. And you'd be really surprised how much self-awareness can positively affect your life, your mood, your relationships, the energy in your home. So I want to talk about what it actually is and how to grow it. So today's episode, it's not our usual format. It's more of a conversation. And we're starting with what self-awareness really means. Self-awareness isn't about picking yourself apart or obsessing over your flaws. It's not sitting there thinking, oh, why am I like this? No. Self-awareness is about paying attention to yourself with curiosity and not with judgment. It's asking, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? How is this mood or energy affecting how I show up for other people? How is my mood or energy affecting the people around me? And it's the ability to step outside of your autopilot mode and say, okay, what's exactly happening inside me and how is that spilling over into the outside world? Because here's the thing, whether we realize it or not, the energy we carry becomes the energy we spread. And sometimes without meaning to, We let our stress, our exhaustion, our frustration leak out into how we parent, how we partner, and how we lead at work or how we show up to everyone around us. It affects our mood, our patience, our mannerisms. And coming from someone who has an RBF on a good day, I can only imagine what my face looks like when I'm in a bad mood. And that just made me laugh because I thought of I'm not sure if it was my first grade or my second grade picture, but the face I have on that picture just tells it all. I do not hide it well. But self-awareness gives us the power to notice it and then to choose differently. Think of it like this. Most of us walk through life looking out a window. We see what's happening to us, the world events, the chaos, it's all right in front of us. But self-awareness asks us to look into the mirror and ask yourself, how am I showing up in this space? And here's a personal example. There have been mornings where everything goes wrong. You know you've had them. You're running late, can't find my keys. One of the kids is upset about something. I'm already on the edge before we leave the house. Then I get to work, or nowadays I'm blessed to be able to work from home. So it's hopping on a Zoom and my energy is tense. My thoughts are scattered. And guess what? That energy gets picked up by everybody else. Suddenly the meeting feels heavy, not because of the agenda, but because how I entered the room. And that's the mirror moment, recognizing that what's happening inside of me is spilling outside of me. And it's kind of easier to see it on a Zoom or Teams because you have that little video of yourself in the corner. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen myself in that box, and it's made me so aware to be mindful of my facial expressions and to sit up straight because half the time I'm always hunched over because that's what I do at my desk, trying to get better at that too. But here's the thing. Once you see it literally or figuratively, you can shift it. You could pause, you could take a breath and reset, and then decide to bring something different into the room. And now let's be real. Why don't we do this more often? Why do we resist slowing down enough to notice what's going on inside of us? It's because self-awareness can be really uncomfortable. It's so much easier to blame the traffic or the kids or your boss than to admit that maybe I'm carrying stress that I haven't dealt with. We're so busy managing everything on the outside that we forget to check in with the inside. And honestly, sometimes we avoid it because we're afraid of what we'll find. But here's the truth. Self-awareness, it's not about shame. It's about freedom. Because once you know, you can grow, you can course correct, you can take ownership. And that is so empowering. And here's what I found out to be the best part of my self-awareness journey is that self-awareness doesn't just change you, it changes how you treat other people. When you're able to understand your own triggers and moods, you really start to realize that other people have theirs too. That coworker who snapped in an email, maybe she's dealing with a sick kid. That mom at pickup who seems standoffish, maybe she's barely holding it together. Or maybe she just has an RBF like me and just really wants someone to include her in the conversation. Self-awareness, it lets you pause before you react. And remember, everyone is fighting battles that you can't see. But here's the beautiful part. When you choose to show up with kindness, when you know you've cared, you get peace. Even if the other person doesn't respond the way you hoped, you can rest knowing I did my part. I showed up as the person I wanted to be. So let's get practical. How do you actually become more self-aware? You knew I had to have a list in here somewhere because that's my thing, but here's a few ways to start. First, pause daily. Build a habit of stopping once or twice a day, just asking, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? How is it affecting how I show up? Especially when you find you're in a bad mood or you don't have a lot of patience with your kids. I've been a little stressed lately. Well, really stressed lately. Work has not been easy. I've been dealing with a lot of grief, dealing with the normal mom life stuff, and throw in the whole college application process. It's been a lot, especially on the work front. Work has left me in a bad mood on more than one occasion recently. And I was aware of it, but Russ has been pointing it out lately. And last week, I just caught myself. So I was in a bad mood. And I literally paused and told myself that I was not going to let work steal my evening. And I didn't want to let my kids see me in a bad mood again. So I forced myself to smile. I put on music and I danced in my kitchen. And it instantly turned my mood around. I actually did this last night too. I caught myself in a bad mood again. And it took a few times of me saying this mantra to myself. I'm not going to let work steal my evening. I literally said that to myself 3 times. And we actually had a nice night lying on the couch talking as a family, which I can't say happens very often. And I can't even remember if the TV was on or not. It must not have been, which is even more of an anomaly. So I celebrated it. Second, journaling. Even just a quick note, like I was stressed in the morning and it made me snappy with the kids. Or last night I was really short with Russ because my kids drove me batty. And I don't know if it was a full moon or what was going on. The kids usually take turns being a pain in the butt, but this particular night was a rough one. And for some reason, it was all the things that I had to deal with. And of course, it was right when I was finally sitting down for the night to work on our calendar for the next month. So I was feeling a little resentful, I guess you can call it. And Russ said something to me and I was really short with him. And of course, I felt terrible about it. But being able to reflect on it and notice patterns will really make you more self-aware the next time. Number 3, check your body. Your body often knows a lot before your mind does. Those tight shoulders, if your jaw is clenched, those shallow breathing, or in my case, deep breathing, those are signals that something is going on inside of you. When I find myself getting stressed or tense, I just automatically have the habit of starting to take deep breaths because that regulates my nervous system. And it's become such a habit that I don't even notice that I'm doing it. But Russ will totally call me out on it and be like, what's wrong? You're breathing deep again. He's really good at noticing my cues. Number 4, ask for feedback. This one can be a little hard, but sometimes the people closest to us can see what we can't see, like Russ, for example. But with this one, you really need to be prepared for the answer. And if you're asking your partner, like I said, be prepared for the answer and don't let it cause a fight. After my mom and sister said that to me way back when, I talked to Russ about it that night. And unfortunately, or fortunately, he validated it in a nice way, of course, that I tend to focus on the negative. And your partner may not word it as gently as Russ did, and it can be triggering. So be mindful of how you word the question too. A gentle, hey, have I seemed stressed out lately? Can really open your eyes. And lastly, practice mindful transitions. Before you walk into the house after work, before you hop on a Zoom call, before you go to bed, pause, breathe, and decide what energy you want to carry into the next space and how you want to show up. This is something I've been really working on, especially after my friend Mare passed away and caused me to do a lot of reflecting and just seeing everyone's posts of how she just lit up a room with her smile when she walked in. And I totally felt it every time I saw her. And I'm not the big smile type of gal, but I want to be a light, not an energy suck. So work in progress on this one. I'm smiling a lot more often. So why does all this matter? It matters because we're constantly juggling work deadlines, kids' activities, dinner, housework, relationships. And somewhere in there, we're supposed to squeeze in self-care and maybe a hobby. It's no wonder we live in reactive mode. But here's the cost. If we don't check in with ourselves, we end up pouring out of a place of depletion. We show up snappy with our kids, distracted with our partners, resentful at work, just a downer with our friends. But when we pause, when we get self-aware and we reset, we create space to show up with more patience, with more presence, and most importantly, with more purpose. So I want you to get into the healthy habit of pausing every once in a while, especially when you're in a bad mood, and just ask yourself these simple questions. How am I feeling right now? How is this affecting how I'm showing up? What's one small shift I can make in this moment? That's it. 3 questions. And I promise you, the more you do this, the more natural it will become and the more grounded and intentional you're going to feel. And if you're listening to this thinking, I want to be more self-aware, I want to be more intentional, but I don't even know where to start, I want you to know you don't have to do it alone. This is exactly what I help moms with my one-on-one coaching. Together, we look at your schedule, your habits, your mindset, and we build a life that actually works for you. A life with margin, with balance, and space for the things that matter most. So if this sounds like something you need, I'd love to invite you to book a free discovery call. No pressure. It's just a conversation, 5 minutes about where you're at, where you want to be, and how I can help support you getting there. The link is in the show notes. And I really want you to be mindful and remember that the world doesn't just happen to you. You are also happening to the world. And when you're self-aware, you get to decide how. Be kind to yourself, notice your patterns, pause long enough to reset, and then let that kindness overflow to everyone around you. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about the to-do list you crushed. It's about love. It's about empathy. It's about the presence you brought into the lives you touched. And I hope today I am touching you. If you're not already follow the show, take a second and hit that follow button so you never miss another episode. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Life Career Life with Kerri Pad. Before you go, if you found this podcast helpful, I would be so grateful if you would take a minute, go on over to iTunes and leave me a review. If you have other stressed out mamas in your life that you feel this podcast could help, take a screenshot of this episode, post it on your Instagram stories and tag me, and let them know that they are not alone and they can create balance in their life too. If there's a topic you'd like me to cover or you just want to connect, DM me on Instagram at mom.wife.career.life or come on over and hang out in our free Facebook community, Work-Life Balance for Working Moms. Sending you so much love and light until next time on Mom Wife Career Life with Kerri Pat.